All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. We are here at Cards and Culture on the Purple Couch, and I'm here with a really special guest, Paul Skenes, LSU baseball right-handed pitcher and hitter. Thank you so much for joining me, dude. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you guys had a late night last night. I thought for sure, I was telling everybody, I was like, there's no shot this dude comes in here at 10 o'clock in the morning still. So, yeah, you guys just got back from Texas last night, huh?
Yeah, it was a cool trip. Honestly saved the best for last. So yeah, it was awesome.
That was a fun one to watch. And, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed. So one of my friends, Mikey Matuk, I think you know him, you were on his show before. He put it in our group chat. Somebody streamed it on YouTube under like a fake name or whatever. And I didn't know it until like the 8th inning. So I got all the good shit though at the end.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
I mean, the first 8 innings weren't really worth watching.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just pitching. And
yeah, exactly.
pitching.
Yeah, exactly. It was 0-0, so it was perfect. And Duga, I think he's just, dude, I love that kid. So he's full of energy, and I think he's the right guy for that. I was happy for him last night. That was fun.
100%.
Yeah. So how about that road trip? Did you guys enjoy that? That was a long ass trip too.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Left last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Probably around this time maybe. And obviously got back last night. So pretty much a week long, but played some really good teams. K-State, Iowa. Might have faced the best arm we're going to face all year with Iowa.
That kid was nasty, huh?
He just absolutely raw talent.
And effectively wild, like, plays, like, where guys are probably shitting themselves a little bit in the box, too.
Yeah. And we, I remember it was like the third inning or something. I mean, 3 2/3 innings, 8 walks or something like that, but just punched out everybody else. I mean, he I think the third inning, he walked the bases loaded and then punchy. And,
exactly.
And the next day, Jay's like, yeah, I mean, I looked at the video and there wasn't really anything we could do there. So like, I'm not gonna press you guys about that.
Yeah, he just like turned it on and all of a sudden he was just nasty. Dude, his curveball, like when he threw it in the zone, it was like nobody was hitting that shit.
And it's 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That shit was so sharp and late too. Like I felt bad. Like some of the guys, I was like, holy shit.
Just like watching the catcher catch, it looked like he was just bracing for impact. Every like you can't block it.
Yeah.
You're just trying to like.
And you don't know if the fastball is going in the dirt, if it's going over the batter's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those are scary, and that's why we were talking about it in here. So it's hard to hit that. It's hard to get comfortable in the box and everything like that. So, what'd you think about Round Rocks Field? That's a pretty cool stadium, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. And the nice thing is, we traveled well.
Yeah.
So they're doing all the gimmicks in between innings and all that, and LSU is just dominating all the other, the fans and all that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
that was cool.
That is cool, and you'll get used to that. I should probably backtrack it and introduce you a little bit. For everybody who's listening, first and foremost, thank you guys. But Paul actually transferred. This is his first year, even though it's your third year of college baseball, right?
Yes, sir.
You played your first 2 years at Air Force Academy. And then transferred in here, so we're grateful to have you. But why don't you I usually like to let the guests give like a quick 2-minute intro about who you are, your background, where you're from, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so I'm from Southern California. Lived there my whole life. My parents are from Southern California. My sisters, still live out there. And on my mom's side, she has 3 brothers who served. And so, with that background, I grew up just wanted to do that, playing I wanted to play baseball as long as I could. I knew that, but to be honest, it was like I hope I go play 4 years in college and then get a good job in the Air Force and
that's awesome.
Fly planes. So that was my goal throughout high school, and went there. Some things went right, and I developed a little bit, and realized last year, that I have a cool opportunity to go somewhere and play for hopefully a long time, and enter the portal. And LSU was pretty much far and away the best spot I thought for me. So
love that.
Super glad I'm here. And it's been an awesome experience so far.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing that. And I grew up in New Jersey, and I still live down here now after I came to LSU and all that stuff. So it really is a special place, and I think you made a great decision. So I know a lot of Tiger fans are grateful, and I'm excited to dive in a little bit more about your story and stuff. Were you always this height and like kind of stature going into Air Force too?
I was tall.
Were you?
I wasn't this big.
Okay.
I think going into Air Force, I was like 6'5",
okay,
220 maybe.
Gotcha.
Now I'm like 6'6", 250.
Gotcha.
So more so I've filled out a little bit, and I think that was most of the battle with my development as a player. But I've grown a little bit, and like before I hit my growth spurt, I was like still like 6'1". So like my my short is a little different than a lot of other people's short, and I've realized that over time. But
yeah. What is that a factor? Like, this could be like a really dumb question, but is height a factor in being in the Air Force and being able to fly or anything like that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I flew 2 in the back seat, basically 2 incentive flights they call it. Like, you're just in the back seat, just along for the ride, basically. With 2 Air Force baseball grads.
Gotcha.
One in an F-15, one in an F-16, and in the first ride I went on, I was a freshman. F-16, flying with this like 6'5" catcher who was there in like 1998.
Oh my God!
Like he's been in the Air Force for like
forever,
20 years.
Yeah, I was just gonna say forever.
Like yeah. So he's like a colonel flying me around, and I mean a colonel is like the top 1% of the Air Force.
Right.
And so I'm like in the F-16, and I'm like when we're about to pull G's, the seat's like back here, so I'm trying to go back, and I'm like. I can't go back. I can't go straight back because my head's hitting the top.
That's hilarious.
So not something I would want to do as a career, but it was cool to do it for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it for 20 years at 6'5" though?
Yeah, and he's thicker. Like, I mean, he was a catcher.
Yeah, I was just gonna say 6'5" catcher. You're a big boy.
Yeah, no, he's thicker too. But like, it's like your seated height and how long your legs are.
Oh my God.
And so I think, to be honest, I'm probably too long both ways. But like some people, however it works out, some people can like, maneuver their body to where their leg length is within and their seated height is within, because it doesn't matter how tall you are, it just matters like how you sit in the seat. So
makes sense.
But yeah, there are like 6'8" pilots who fit, and there are like 6'4" pilots who don't.
That's so crazy. Weird. That's really interesting. I always think about that driving, like for taller pitchers and players and stuff like that, like just normal everyday living is not the same for everybody, right? So how do you fit in cars? What car do you drive? Where does your foot place? All that stuff. And like over time, how does that affect your posture and everything too? So that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Wow. I always wondered that because my dad and grandfather both served in the Navy. So when I was growing up, my dad was literally, when I was 5 years old, he would make me introduce myself to people and say, "Hey, I'm Anthony Renato, and I'm going to the Naval Academy at Annapolis."
Nice.
Yeah. So I would always I appreciate servicemen and people that go into the, and represent our country and stuff like that, and go to all the schools and stuff. Because like as a child, it was kind of ingrained in me that was the way, that was the way to do things. But then as I got taller, my dad's like, "You would have been too tall for the Navy anyway. You would have been too tall. You can play baseball and basketball." So.
Yeah, my 2 uncles who went to the Naval Academy, one was on a destroyer, one was on a sub. They're both 6'5".
Are they? Yeah.
Like I've toured subs that are like decommissioned or whatever, and like I'm walking around like this.
Yeah.
Like, just I don't know how they did it, but
they're just asking for neck and back problems the rest of their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And they're like 6'5", like probably 190, like 200 pounds. Like they're wiry too. So I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. So height runs in your family then? If like everybody?
Yeah, on my mom's side.
On your mom's side? Okay, that's awesome. So did you play any other sports growing up?
No,
just baseball. And always hitting and pitching both?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when did it like take off for you at Air Force? Did you kind of break out right away your freshman year you play? I know your sophomore year, obviously your numbers were pretty impressive. But when did you kind of click for you and you were like, "Oh shit, I probably have maybe a decision to make after the 2 years," type thing?
I would say even this point last year, I wasn't thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to,
Yep.
finish my education here, hopefully get drafted my junior year, play the summer after, come back, finish my degree, and then go play. Like that was my plan this point last year. My freshman year, I was just like, I just went out there and played. And they needed me to catch. They needed me to close.
You caught?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, when we played here, I caught 8.
No way. Closed. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the story of my whole year. We played at Arizona against Jay and played a doubleheader. I caught against Wichita State and then DH the second game against Arizona and came in and closed. Really stupid. Looking back on it, it was really stupid. It's nice that I was like 18 and like my body was 18 years old. But I couldn't do that now.
That's absolutely incredible. When were you always throwing kind of the velo that you have now, or when did that kind of come along?
I would say the velo kind of started coming my senior year of high school.
Okay.
I think I hit like 95 my last outing.
Yeah.
And then it like kind of started climbing. I hit like 98 or something like that my freshman year. I was more consistently up there last year.
Gotcha.
And then here, like consistently higher. Body feels better.
Yeah.
Just be like more time to recover, more resources, all that kind of thing.
That's what I was going to ask you. Talk to me a little bit about. Sorry, yeah, we have some fruit flies in here. We had an event, so we got some fruit flies flying around. Talk to me about that jump from Air Force to LSU. You kind of just alluded to it, I think, kind of what the biggest thing is, right? Resources, bigger sports school, that kind of stuff. But talk to me about that. What was the biggest adjustment there, or change, I guess?
The biggest change I would say is just the time.
Yeah.
Because Air Force, it's almost like they give you like 18 hours of stuff that if you want to get your 8 hours of sleep, you have to pack it into 16 hours. So like you have to learn how to, time manage and all that. And so I think I learned how to do that pretty well. Like even in high school, and going in there, it helped me a lot my freshman year. And so on the academic side, like my roommate there was our shortstop, and he would just like work himself into the ground.
Really?
With the academic side, like I'd go to sleep at 10, wake up at like 11:30 to get a drink of water or something like that, and he's still up.
Damn.
And then he'd like set an alarm at 5 a.m. to study, like just
Holy
absolutely
shit,
worked himself into the ground. And I like kind of figured out earlier how to like manage my time a little bit to where I didn't need to do that, because I'm a guy who needs to sleep. He's not a guy who needs to sleep, but I need to sleep.
Yeah.
And then coming here, it's like so much more time. I had 1 in-person class in the fall, 0 in-person classes now, which just gives me time to be at the field, do what I need to do to feel good, and like do what I need to do to prepare. Like there's all the physical stuff. There's a lot to be said about that, but like having time to watch video, go over scouting reports. Now that we're in season, like that's a big piece of it too. And but the time aspect was huge, and I think that kind of searching for that structure was something that I had to find. But once I found it, it's been really good.
That's awesome. And I'm sure having Wes Johnson here as a resource is probably pretty nice for you too.
Yeah, and like that honestly, I've gotten asked that a lot, and I think it's understated a little bit, like how important he is to the program. He's like pitching side. If he were just like a pitching coach, just teaching you how to throw the ball on the mound, I still think he'd be the best in the country. But honestly, I think his ability to read players and like work on the mental side of the game is even higher than the pitching side. And like for me, I would say that I'm pretty mature in that end, and it's been more like life stuff for me. Like
that's awesome.
Just I think how much he gets talked about is honestly
it's not even enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Like just how important he is to this program. Obviously the pitching staff, but like the hitters too. Like just a mentor for us.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that's the life skills that he's teaching you guys as young men, and I think that's something that speaks to Jay Johnson too, like finding the right people, putting them in those places and stuff. And I think that's how you truly build a dynasty. I think I'm not saying that we had a dynasty when we were here because we only won 1 championship, but still we had a really great group of guys that won that championship and then stayed here and then kind of built that, following where younger kids wanted to stay here and come here and that kind of stuff too. And it starts with people like Wes that are doing those things, and players saying these things about him and that kind of stuff. Because, a lot of people can have the X's and O's, right? But it's the life skills and the intangibles that make you a great coach. So I love hearing that too, because I've heard great things about him.
Yeah, and with Jay too, like you said, like just putting the right people in. He's the best coach I've ever been around with that stuff, because he knows how an organization should work. Like he has his vision, he knows how we're going to get there, and man, he doesn't have an off switch. Like seeing how he works makes everyone else in the building just want to work harder. It's cool to be around.
Shit, I get that when I walk in the building and I talk to him for 5 minutes. If I have a 5-minute meeting, I'm like, damn, all right, I got to get to work, because he's just like, cool, what are you here for? Like, it's business, boom, 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 cool. All right, now I'm back to work, I love that about him. And so that's why everybody always asks me, like, are we in good? I'm like, I think we're in great hands. This guy is not just setting us up to win right now, but I think he's creating a legit dynasty. He doesn't want to be anywhere else. I think he's building things that are foundational too, and getting the right guys in place, I think too, is huge. And recruiting the right guys and stuff like that. So I'm excited about this year for you guys. Talk to me a little bit about your development and what you think. You know, I watched you pitch opening night, and I mean, I pitched in the major leagues. I pitched here at LSU. I've seen a lot of guys pitch, man, and you're a special talent. So talk to me about what you think you need to work on, or what you think you've improved on the best that you want to keep improving on going forward for this year.
Yeah, since I've been here, I've started throwing a new slider, started throwing a two-seamer, sinker, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Change up and forcing have stayed the same, but yeah, since I threw a gyro slider last year.
Really?
Which was it was all right. Like
Yeah.
it was just an okay pitch to get, because I was fastball change up,
Right.
like okay pitch to get them up. Basically
That's crazy.
just this way.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I didn't
Because everything
know.
was going this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'm such a pronator,
Right.
and like I can't make the ball move this way until I found the slider grip that I have now. Now it's like a legit sweeper
Yeah.
that, you know, I just found playing catch over the summer, just fooling around with it.
No way.
Yeah, and so like worked on that, kind of refined it,
Yeah.
and you know that's been the biggest difference, because making I can make a pitch move right all I
Right,
want,
right.
but I wasn't ever able to make a pitch move left.
Yeah.
And, so that's really opened up some options for me on the mound.
I'd say so, yeah. I was
rather
watching
than-
Friday night, and I was like, his pitches are making left turns. Like, literally had that in my notes. I'm
Yeah.
like, that shit is nasty, dude.
Yeah. So
Late, too.
yeah, it's different
Yeah.
than last year for sure. So that's the biggest change.
And
then
you didn't even sorry to interrupt you. You didn't even throw a changeup opening day, or a few of them.
through one.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say,
just
yeah,
missed- yeah. I didn't need to.
yeah. You didn't need to at all.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was like the 7th weekend or something
Yeah.
like that I threw a slider, my first slider to a lefty.
That's
hitter.
crazy.
And then opening night, it was like
Yeah,
fastball
slider.
Like,
That was it.
That's
yeah.
all I needed.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's a new style of pitching for me for sure.
Right. That's what I was wondering about. That was the first thing when you said I was just pretty much fastball changeup, and I'm like, I pitch saw you seen fastball slider pretty much, and then
Yeah.
and I saw the changeup in warmups. I'm like, that shit's good too. Like, that's the thing. I was like, if he starts pulling that thing out, because everybody was like, how's he gonna do in SEC? You know, I'm like, dude, he's got, first of all, he's got swing and miss stuff, and he commands the zone, and he had that. I saw the changeup in warmups, so like as soon as he starts throwing that in games too, it's game over. So
Yeah.
that's crazy that's exciting that you were fastball changeup first, and then you've added this. So that's really awesome. So what do you think is the biggest thing that you need to work on, or that you would want to improve on kind of going forward?
I would say just continuing to refine my stuff, like command, consistency of it. Like I think that's the separator.
Yeah.
You know, between watching college games and big league games, you know, on TV. And obviously that's where I want to go. But like being able to throw, you know, a 3-2 slider and know exactly where to start it, where to end it.
Yep.
That's just, you know, I think I'm good at that now, but you know, even more so. I think that's just the next step.
Yep. And I think you do a great job too. I think we showed it, or you had it against, was it K-State, right? Was your second start. You had 30 pitches in the first inning, but then you settled in, even with punch outs. And you know what I'm saying? And to be able to have such a low pitch count and strike that many guys out and get that many swings and misses, that's what I've been telling people, and why I think, you know, you're a great true Friday guy, because you know, in the SEC in the 7th inning, when it's 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, you got those pitches to be able to get 2 punch outs in a row, you know, when you need to. So, and you're absolutely right. I think the difference between major league pitchers and minor league pitchers and things like that is literally consistency. Is how do you make an adjustment when it goes 1-0? Okay, cool. I knew what I messed up. How do I get back to 1-1 right away, you know? So I'm excited to see the development of that for you. And I think the sky's the limit, man. And, how are you handling all the draft stuff? Because that's got to be coming now too, you know, a lot of the talks and things like that.
Yeah, that was a lot more in the fall
Yeah.
than it is now. I'm like kind of trying to like drown it out a little
Tunnel
bit
vision,
right now. I hear it a lot, like, but who cares?
Yeah.
Like nobody knows anything at
Yep.
this point. And the people who do know something are keeping their cards close to them. They're not saying anything to me because they don't need to.
Yeah.
But there's so much time left in the season, and a lot's going to happen. So I'm literally just trying to go out there every Friday, you know, have a good outing and win baseball games, and it'll all take care of itself.
Yeah, I'm sure you can't talk too much into this, but everybody I'm sure is curious, and everybody's asking you, are you going to hit at all this year? Is that still on the table?
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I've been taking swings.
Beautiful.
Just hasn't lined up yet.
Gotcha.
But it'll happen.
Nice. I'm excited. How is that going to work for you, pro ball wise? Do you think you're going to be able to have an opportunity to do both?
I want to do it as long as possible.
Let's go.
But I know that right now, like going out there and pitching every Friday, that's a priority. So
Yeah.
not going to do anything to jeopardize that. And,
Absolutely.
that's going to put us in a good position to win first game of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a preference? Do you like hitting or pitching better?
Depends on the day.
Yeah. Because sometimes your arm can hurt a little bit and be like, you know what, it would be nice to just hit today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When you're hitting well, I'm sure that's probably a lot more fun than pitching. Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. This was a really great conversation. I'm excited for you going forward this year with LSU. I think you guys have a great team. So it seems like you have your head on straight. And real quick, one thing I did want to talk about. When we were messaging, I thought it was pretty cool that you go in and out of social media. That's something I didn't have to battle at LSU. So I always like to ask guys and girls when I have them on the show, how that plays a role in just being a student athlete nowadays, social media. But it seems like you have a little bit of a strategy with it, huh?
Yeah, that's one thing that Wes is big on. Basically, not so much like everybody needs to delete social media,
Right.
but like know what it is. How it affects you, and like if it's gonna affect you on the field, like it's not worth it. Yeah. And so I looking in the mirror, like I know myself, and that's not something that is like, it's cool, and it's a good way to put myself out there, but outside of that, it's not like super important. And so especially like before a start, before a weekend, I might check it after my outing or something like that, but I'm not going to check it like today through Friday. I'm not going to check it at all just because it's rat poison, to be honest. So I don't want anything to get in the way. And there are a lot of people in our locker room who are like that too.
Dude, I think you guys, I'm being dead serious. You guys have the right guys in place this year, the right leadership and stuff like that. And these phones, they're just a tool. That's all it is. And most of that shit on there is fake anyway. So yeah. I'm being dead serious. I follow stuff that is, inspirational, educational, motivational. That's it. Because people are just putting their highlight reels out there and stuff, and their opinions. So that's all it is and everything, especially for somebody like you who's, at a certain point, you don't need to be hearing people's whose opinion don't matter and everything. You know who you are, and you guys have a great team and sounds like a great clubhouse. So I'm really excited to watch the rest of the season and watch you guys hopefully make a trip back to Omaha this year. Yeah, that's the goal. That'd make it all worth it for sure. Absolutely. I'm fired up. Well, good, man. I'm around as a resource, and if you ever need anything, I'm here. I know how crazy the world gets with all this stuff, so just make sure if you ever need anything, reach out. We'll put everything in the show notes for your social media if people want to reach out to you, all that stuff. But again, Paul, I really appreciate it, and go enjoy the rest of the off day.